Back in yellow after his great time trial on stage 3, Levi Leipheimer now sets out to defend his overall lead in stage 4. That's next. On a day that placed cyclists directly against the clock, Levi Leipheimer unleashed a time that no one else could match. Now, after days measured by arduous climbs, this race undergoes a sudden change of terrain. A mountain line path transformed into a road wide open with opportunity. Leipheimer remains the man to chase, but others may attempt to slash his lead by breaking away from the pack. 83 miles until Bike Town, USA, Steamboat Springs. Stage 4 of the USA Pro Cycling Challenge is next. Yes, the USA Pro Cycling Challenge moves on today as we start from the beautiful town of Avon, riding 83 miles to Steamboat Springs on a stage presented by Exergy Development. This is the start town this morning. The riders already on the way now as we head to Steamboat Springs, and this beautiful sporting town, I can tell you, is ready now to receive the arrival of the event, and it's still very, very finely poised. Hello everybody, I'm Phil Liggett, this is Paul Show, and behind me is the finishing straight here. It might be a sprinter's finish today, but one thing is certainly for sure, Paul, we have had nearly a week of racing now, second to none.
The amazing thing is, Phil, this race has changed its leadership every day since Patrick Gretsch got himself the win way back in Colorado Springs. The race was wrestled in away by Levi Leipheimer, who then looked as if he was going to be extremely solid right the way through this bike race. But that was not expecting the big attack that came on the downhill part of Independence Pass, where a young guy, 23 years of age, TJ Van Garderen, said, I want to win this bike race. And he looked as if he was going to be very solid right the way to the end. Now, all of a sudden, in that individual time trial, I expected the gaps to open up. Well, that didn't happen. It's all come back together.
It has, and yesterday Levi Leipheimer reclaimed the leader's yellow jersey. He was our Road ID rider of the day. He was also your pick as well.
You know, Levi Leipheimer is an unbelievable bike rider. The day before, he lost himself 45 seconds, and I thought that was any chance at all of him coming back into the overall lead. But when this man is down, he knows how to fight back, and fighting his way through the crowds, he posted the fastest time when he stopped the clock, and that's why I think you and we gave him the Road ID ride of the day.
Yes, he won by just 58 tenths of a second. Now, you can win a shopping spree here. Log on to roadid.com/ride and make your pick later today, and we'll tell you at the top of the program tomorrow. These are the scenes here last night in Vale. Leipheimer in yellow again.
Well, he's looking very solid now in yellow, but he's going to have to spend the next 3 days, Phil, trying to defend that overall lead, which is at the moment still a very slim advantage.
And let's have a look now at the United Healthcare overall standings, because it's still very, very close. In fact, closer than it was before the time trial. Van der Velde is now 11 seconds behind. Van Garderen went from first to third, but firstly by the difference he had at the start of the day. 17 seconds off now. 21 seconds back to Tommy Danielson, and the top 6 completed by Rafael Infantino, the Colombian rider who really has come out of nowhere now to move up into 6th place. Tour de France winner Cadel Evans in 7th place there at 1:18. Paul, take us through the Radio Shack route.
Well, I can tell you one thing, Phil, this is going to be a very fast stage today, probably one of the easiest stages so far, and that's why a lot of riders have gone out on the attack. Yes, so we are going a little bit deeper into the state of Colorado, and the riders moving away from Avon this morning for that long undulating ride down into Steamboat Springs. But this to me today is probably the ideal race for a breakaway to succeed, and that's why I think we've had so many attacks in the start. Halfway through, there's a little bit of a climb, peaking out at 8,570 feet, and then it's all downhill down Highway 131 right into the middle of town here in Steamboat Springs. And I wonder for one if the sprinters finally are going to get a little bit of glory.
Well, you're always riding at high altitude here, so so today will be no exception, of course. Let's have a look at the Colorado.com's facts. 123 of the 130 riders still survive. 11 of those 17 teams are intact. There's a sprint point along the way. It comes at Oak Creek, 21 miles from the finishing line here in Steamboat. The altitude at the start is 7,400 feet. Hey, we're going downhill today. We finish at a mere 6,700. Well, as always, let's go early today. The rides at the start in Avon, the honey milk sign in here. The new yellow jersey, back in yellow after a break of it yesterday, is Levi Leipheimer waving to the crowd. Tour de France winner Cadel Evans comes on board, salutes the crowd and signs in. He had not the greatest of time trials yesterday, but he's still very much a high flyer in the USA Pro Cycling Challenge. And a lovely crowd in Avon as we get away now with our Nissan electric start as we see the riders move away. They're not going to be so daunted by the route today. It's not as hilly as they have been used to, although it's always undulating and you're always at altitude, so those concerns are always there. But today the sprinters might feel they have a chance, and so not surprisingly, right from the gun, they were going today. The first breakaway got 3 men away. Acevedo was there and Montoya, 2 riders from Colombia, and Denilton. They got away fairly early on, but they were chasing them down one after another. Then there was more attacks again. And these 2 riders here countered the move as they got clear of the field. 5-man, they're forming together here. Battagliato getting up there with Vladimir Epakin. Those are the 5 riders who are clear at the moment. Little view here of Steamboat Springs as we make ready for a long straight concrete strip of road on Highway 40 for the finish today. It's a beautiful day, it really is. 74 degrees Fahrenheit, light winds, clear skies, a gentle breeze across the race. The temperatures absolutely perfect, as I hope you think these pictures are, because as always they are available in high definition. Well, Steamboat Springs is a sporting town and we're heading there today with the yellow jersey now. The Quiznos jersey returning to the shoulders of Levi Leipheimer after his incredible time trial yesterday. Fancy losing a race, though, by 58/100ths of a second, which was the case of Christian van der Velde. In fact, his father's just been in to say hello to us, and he said, I can't believe he couldn't make up half a second. There we are. Good steady work here. Now Team Radio Shack, it's their job to try and defend for the yellow. There'll be a little bit of consternation, Paul, with Hanier Acevedo moving just ahead on the road now because he was overnight was 2:37 behind.
No, it was, but I think interesting, the Radio Shack have got a couple of friends there. They're just about to get to the high spot of the race here this afternoon, and once they go over the summit of that climb, it's going to be a very fast, roaring finish as we start to pick up pretty much a downhill part of the course, and then we'll start to see Radio Shack and Team Liquigas Cannondale starting to take the pace up to well in excess of 30 miles an hour or 50 kilometers now. I think Liquigas Cannondale, Phil, today, they're thinking about their sprinter. He's only a youngster at 22 years of age, but he's called Elio Viviani, and he's won 4 races so far this season. He's a fast rider, that's for sure, but you have to clash swords with 1 or 2 other good finishes here because they felt there's been nothing for the sprinters, which indeed there has not in this year's race. So they've really got to get stuck in today if they can. There's a nice look at our new virtual leader on the road because he's regained all of his lost time. He started the day 2:37 behind. He's now got enough time back to go into the lead. We knew that the Colombians would be a threat. Now Levi Leipheimer's going to watch and monitor this and then decide how hard he must chase. But he's also aware, Paul, isn't he, that the sprinters want to win, so there'll be other teams willing to chase today. That's what makes the tactics very complicated, and Levi Leipheimer and his team, Team Radio Shack, have always over the last number of seasons been extremely good tacticians, and I think they will wait and see if the teams of the sprinters come forward. There's an American team also, United Healthcare, presented by Maxxis, have a very fast sprinter, German sprinter who was on the international circuit for many years, and his name is Robert Forster, so you might see the blue and white jerseys coming forward too. Absolutely right. So steady breakaway, the 3 riders getting away as we saw, then being joined by 2 other riders. Stefan Denifler is in this breakaway from Leopard Trek. The last race he won was the National Time Trial Championship of his native Austria back in 2008. Maybe he'll change it all today. Not if Levi Leipheimer has anything to do with it. See you in a minute.
These are the United Healthcare leaders jerseys here. Overall Quiznos by Leipheimer now. He's also got his hands on the Smashburger points jersey at the moment, while it's Pedrezza who's in the Nissan King of the Mountains colours, and then TJ Van Garderen, the only leader this week in the Sheets Best Young Rider jersey, which he wears today. The Most Aggressive Riders jersey, sponsored by NCG, was won yesterday by Andre Steensen, but they don't wear that jersey in the competition. These are the 5 leaders who have now settled down to a nice little lead here and getting on with the job in hand of working. We've got Stefan Dennefeld setting the pace on the front at the moment for Leopard Trek. Same team as Andy Schleck. Look over the shoulder, no sign of the peloton in the backdrop. The computer showing it's heading up towards 3 minutes now, which means that Janier Acevedo is now 2 minutes and 37 seconds behind this morning, is now in the lead on the road. All right, well, let's go back to the start today now. Well, we'll just hold on for that, but I think we're lining up a little interval you down at the start. But at the moment, we've gone back into the peloton, and these are the boys from Garmin Cervelo. Having a little friendly chat. Been going well for them. They're the team victors in the Tour de France this year, and very proud they were to have carried away with that. But yesterday on the far side there, Tommy Danielson riding along. There he is, Tommy D. And as we can see Tommy G there now, 4th place overall. Bob Roll spoke with him this morning before the start.
Tommy D, some dramatic health issues overnight. Can you take us through what's been going on?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't really say it's a health issue. It's just more, you know, I got sort of a stomach ailment, not similar to anything I've had in the past. It's more of like a, you know, it's either food poisoning or it was something else. Definitely not from our own cooks or chefs or anything like that. Maybe something I had after the stage, or it could have been from the people were saying that there was some sheep poop issues on Cottonwood. A lot of the spectators and stuff got sick, so something like that. But it was a real rough 24 hours for me. Woke up at 12:30 at night, the night before the time trial, and just vomiting and diarrhea, and was on my hands and knees all night, and had to actually crawl to the doctor's room at 3 a.m. down the hall in my underwear, just sitting in the hallway, just sweating, just really convulsing and having problems, and ended up kind of getting it a little bit under control around 5 a.m. and was fortunate enough to have the support from my wife and from my team that encouraged me to start, because honestly I wasn't going to start yesterday. I was so sick. I didn't think there was even a chance I could ride my bike. So my wife just told me, you know, just get out there, get on your bike, act as if you're all right, and I did the best. I apologized to all the fans yesterday. I didn't really sign any autographs and didn't really talk to anyone, but just gave it everything I had, which wasn't a whole lot, but ended up okay. So I said about 20 seconds out of the lead now, so it ended up being all right. So I'm glad my wife made me get out there and do it.
Well done, Tommy D, for starting. You've got to stay away from those sheep on the Cottonwood Pass, Tom. He was just chatting there in our picture with Oscar Sevilla, who also speaks English, but he is a Colombian. There he is, up right on our picture at the moment, and in the centre there, smiling in his blue jersey, which he certainly wasn't when he finished the time trial yesterday in yellow, TJ Van Garderen. Now he's reassessed the situation. He's looked at the overall. He knows that 17 seconds is possible if he can just plan his attack. May come tomorrow on the road to Breckenridge. Looking at the face of TJ Van Garderen, Paul, he looks a little bit more relaxed and not quite as sad as he did down in Vale after that time trial.
Well, he bounced back. You know, when he took the lead the day before, Phil, in a very emphatic breakaway. He was aggressive on the slopes of the Independence Pass, but then on the downhill, he took all kinds of risks to prize a small group of 7 riders away from the main field, putting 45 seconds between himself and Levi Leipheimer. So I think he probably expected to ride a much better time trial than he did. But sometimes the yellow jersey, instead of allowing you to sprout wings, tends to be a little bit heavy on young shoulders.
Cheers for Levi Leipheimer. He was very, very proud of his effort yesterday, and well he might be. It was only 58 hundredths of a second to win the day, but more importantly, he got the time back that it was required to take back the overall lead. Now he's got today, which should be routine. It's not going routine at the moment, of course. Then we've got tomorrow to Breckenridge, and then the finish from Golden down into Denver on Sunday. It's the Radio Shack team of Leipheimer. It's their responsibility to set the pace. Just looking here at the leaders, Vladimir Efakim in this breakaway, by the way. Team Type 1 have given him the chance. His last victory he won was a stage of the Tour de France in 2008 when they disqualified Ricardo Rico for taking drugs. There's the man who lost the time trial yesterday by 58 hundredths of a second. That's the man who beat him. We'll take a break. Welcome back to the USA Pro Cycling Challenge. Let me remind you, every day at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, our preview program, Rematching the Rockies, is a little bit different. And this year we know it because you've been writing and saying how much you've been enjoying a different look into the racing by the top professionals around the world. So we're pleased you like it. And who knows, we might even do it for the Tour de France next year. Anyway, looking down the road here, this is the scene at Steamboat Springs, and these are the riders speeding towards Steamboat. 5 riders are clear at the moment, but there is a sign now that the field are waking up, and I see the teammates of Viviani, Liquigas Cannondale, are also helping out on the chase now, because Viviani is a possible winner. Gently downhill now. We've hit the high spot of the day. There was no challenges in the Nissan King of the Mountains today, so Pedraza will pull that jersey on. He's had an easy day of it, and yesterday there was none in the time trial either, so he'll be the King of the Mountains tonight. Look at this, there we are, as we're heading into the feed zone here, which is presented by Honey Stinger. There are the boys of Radio Shack and the lime green colours of Liquigas, who feel they have the sprint winner in Viviani today. 2 minutes 55 straight into the face of number 21. That is Andy Schleck here, who really doesn't care who is in the lead today, because he'll be thinking more perhaps of tomorrow and the finish. Just having a little chat there, Paul, with Michael Laurent Didier rather, of France, and of course Andy speaks French.
Well, actually, Laurent Didier of Luxembourg, actually.
Oh dear, indeed.
And that's the problem. They could be speaking one of the very, very rare languages, I'd have to say, for Luxembourgish. And it's one of the few languages I can't really get my head around, because it's really extremely complicated. It's almost a mixture of French, Luxembourg and German.
Well, here we go. Time to take on your favourite drink, your favourite food. Really, at this stage of the race, these bags, Paul, everybody always asks us the question, what's inside them?
Well, there's a combination of things. Then you might just note a fairly carbonated drink there on the handlebars of that first rider from Gobernación de Antioquia. They'll also take on board electrolytic drinks. They'll take on board water as well. And then, of course, plenty of... nowadays, there's a lot of specialized foods that you can take, especially in the second part of the race. Things like food gels, energy bars. I'd rather like to prefer the old-fashioned food that we used to get. A good old ham sandwich goes a long way to really quenching the appetite.
Absolutely, we're not scientific. I remember the great world champion and the great British cyclist Tommy Simpson. He came from Yorkshire, and he used to say, "In my bag, lad, my jam butties, that's all I eat when I'm racing." And boy, it worked for him.
Phil, you better translate exactly what a jam butty is.
Okay, it's a sandwich with jam inside. These are the 5 leaders. Looking at the computer, it's saying 2:37, but it's often a little bit slower than what you're seeing on your screens. And we're saying there it's now up to 3 minutes at the moment. So the field is still under the control of Radio Shack. It won't be allowed to hold now, because we're getting down towards 30 miles to go, and it's gently downhill, very fast roads into Steamboat Springs, and once they get into Steamboat, they make a left turn way out of town, and that is the road straight to the finishing line. No deviation, and a big wide contour strip.
Well, actually, if you just look at the length of this main field, that gives you the indication that, yes, the main field now are starting to pick up that acceleration. They didn't want to attack the big climbs, because what happens if you attack the big climbs? You lose 1 or 2 teammates, and the important thing is to have, over the last part of the race, as many teammates as possible to share the pacemaking and lift up the speed to a high 30 or 40 miles an hour.
Well, as you can see, the riders at the front of the peloton and also in the front of the breakaway, they do what we call bit and bit. They swap turns at the front.
No, that's the idea. One rider will ride at the front, and he'll be riding and braking into the wind, making the other riders behind him save 20 to 30% of their energy. Once he's done his turn, then he'll slide to the back end of the group, slot in again into the slipstream, get a little bit of a breather while the same process happens all over again. The guy at the front's done 30, 40, 50 meters, then he slips off and gets back to the tail of the guys who he's working with.
And Christian Montoya there has just gone through to demonstrate that perfectly here, as we look at his teammate and the man who is the current leader of the Tour now on the road, as the field arrive into their the feeding zone here, snatching those bags.
This is always a very dangerous and precarious part of the race, actually, out on the course, because the team helpers there, as you can see, they start off by standing on the right-hand side of the road. Then they want to get in a little bit further, and it makes a very narrow corridor for the professional bike riders to get through and take on board their bags. And as you can see, riders moving left and right, and if you're not paying attention, you can find a very nasty little crash waiting for you around the corner.
Which is what we don't want. There's a Spider Tech squad there snatching his bag at the back. That team's managed by the former great Canadian cyclist Steve Bauer, who we saw last night at a special reception to remember the racing in Colorado. These are the boys in Radio Shack, the super domestiques who are driving that peloton now, and it looks to me as though they've picked up the tempo quite considerably. So too, I have to say, as the breakaway. They've chipped 5 seconds off it, 2 minutes 55 seconds. It still leaves Hanier Acevedo, though, the leader on the road. We'll take a break. Yeah, sitting along the Eagle River, the village of Avon served as today's start town, and after the departure, the peloton would head straight in towards Steamboat Springs, Colorado. Although its nickname is the Bike Town USA, the area is also popular for rafting and kayaking, hosts an annual hot air balloon rodeo. The classic western cowboy town is also a popular ski resort in the winter. Yes, I think Colorado really does have it all. These beautiful images from Colorado.com as we now head back to the race here. Levi Leipheimer, a study of concentration, doesn't look too concerned by the move here by Hanier Acevedo, who's still the race leader on the road, but only just now. His overnight lead, his deficit rather, was 2:37. The bunch is down to 2:45. Now just a little picture for you. This was moments ago actually, and he's getting hold of his bottle. He's got strong teeth, hasn't he? He's steadily riding along, taking it easy. As we always say, do not do this if you're not an experienced bike rider and you're riding on an open highway. Don't forget these highways are totally shut down for the bike race. So Andy's quite happy to demonstrate his skills here. As the leaders now, as we've just gone shooting up the road by nearly 3 minutes, and they're working hard, aren't they? And they're doing what we explained a moment ago, was working together here, just doing their fair share at the front and then going to the back, having a little bit of a rest, few deep breaths, and come through. That's how they keep the high tempo. They're friends at the moment because they're heading towards the finish. It wouldn't be the case if we're in the last 5 or 6 miles of the day, but the common enemy is the peloton, and they'll work together to try and hold it off all the way to Steamboat Springs today. It is absolutely idyllic for bike races today. It's a beautiful mountain air. It feels clean and crisp. It's not overly hot. As we swing back to see George Hincapie, he's wearing the green Smashburger jersey here, the points leader, but that in fact is also Levi Leipheimer, but Big George is second in that competition, so he gets to wear it today. He's having a wonderful tour. He's had his stage win in Aspen, and so let's see if he can produce maybe another stage win before this race is over. That wouldn't surprise in the least. Looking down at the long line of cyclists, and now back at the start we've got Bob Roll, and before the race got underway he was chatting with Dirk Friel of Training Peaks, and now they're going to tell us about their training software.
I'm here with Dirk Friel, the co-founder of Training Peaks. A lot of top riders at the height of professional cycling use it, but who else can benefit from the software?
You know, anyone training for an endurance event can use Training Peaks. Cyclists, triathletes, runners, just like the pros use.
And how does one get started using it?
You know, first create a free account, and then from there the secret is in the planning. So you can either create your own training program, go to our training plan store to search for a training plan for the event you're training for. You can use our virtual coach, or the best choice of all is get a personal coach. We have over 2,000 coaches in our coach directory.
And how do I know if it's working?
You know, with all that experience working with the pros over 10 years now, what we've done is created a system where we assign a training stress score to every workout, and then from there you can easily graph your fitness over time.
It's been a while since I exercised strenuously. Could I benefit myself, Bob Key-Roll?
Of course, man. You can definitely keep going. We'd love to see you back in the peloton, Bob.
All right. That won't happen, but thank you, Dirk.
Sure thing.
No, you're right there, Bob. That will not happen. Anyway, well done, Dirk. Just looking here, just chatting here with Christian van der Velde, number 45. That's Craig Lewis of HTC High Road. He's having a pretty good, solid week this week because he's coming back from his bad accident in the 19th stage it was in the Giro d'Italia, which is not that long ago in May. broke his tibia, and he started his comeback trail the other week in the Tour of Utah. It's more South Carolina. So they're happy with the way the race is going. Not too much effort required. This is not a crucial day in the race for the overall classification. Peloton now, Paul, the wind, for what wind there is gently pushing them over to the right-hand side of the road here, but the chase is now clearly on.
No, it is. You can see all the teams are getting themselves organised. TJ Van Garderen looking very relaxed there, talking to the riders from Rabobank. And yes, TJ Van Garderen's name is a Dutch name, and he can speak Dutch. Although he's an American rider, he did for a number of years ride for the Rabobank development squad. And it's good to see that he's bounced back from that little disappointment of yesterday, Phil, because I think he probably felt that he had it in his legs to keep the overall lead, because he did start with a good advantage over Levi Leipheimer.
He did, and Leipheimer, we know, is a good time trialist, but he pulled out something special there, because TJ is certainly no slouch in the time trial himself. So that was an exceptional ride by Leipheimer, as the riders now concentrate on bringing back this breakaway. You see, you look on these, the thing about this road is it's long and straight, so the riders will probably see the leaders 3 minutes up the road at the moment. Here's George Hincapie. He's just saying to Levi, I've got your green jersey, Levi. You can have it back when you get to the finish in Denver. See you in a moment. Levi Leipheimer, he's coming up 38 years of age in October. October, by the way, he also has a Gran Fondo. That's a long-distance bicycle ride, and it's proving very popular. It's reasonably new, and it's based in Santa Rosa, and I think the entries are way up again this year. So we look towards the Rockies here. We're racing right through the center of the valley at the moment, although we're still running fairly high. The leaders working pretty hard, and for the moment you can see that they are moving quite quickly here. The peloton is not really having a great effect on them. Just over 3 minutes, the gap. You know, it's the console shows us it's all downhill to them. It's not quite so. The sprint today is in Oak Creek, where there's a small time bonus there. Now, if the field haven't caught up, the sprint won't be very significant. Not for these boys. It's only a 3-second win bonus there. But if the field were to catch up before Oak Creek, then somebody like TJ Van Garderen or Christian Van der Velde could snick a few seconds bonus. So we're looking at Finger Rock. Now, why would you call that Finger Rock?
Because it looks like a finger, and it's a granite outcropping, and the fact of the matter is that the limestone and the soft sandstone that surround it has been eroded over the last number of years because of the elements in this part of the world. And I'd have to say that it really is quite remarkable. It really does. The fact is, though, it actually has given us a little bit of a reference, because the main field are just going past that rock, and these guys went past it around about 2.5 minutes ago. So I think we're going to start to see. The next time check we get, Phil, will be around about the 2.5 minute mark, I think. Yeah, and the railway track off the right shoulder there. The trains here have 105 carriages on them maximum, and up to 13 locomotives to push and pull them. And the reason they have a couple of locos in the middle of the carriages is because they can't get round the corners on the railroad track, so they need something in the middle so they can bend nicely. Amazing sight, but they've been promised today that the railroad will not block the passage of the race. They will stop all locomotives because they go across 3 railroad crossing day, and if they go across, Paul, they'll be stuck there for 10 minutes. Yeah, because the length of that train, they're certainly not going at high speed either, and they would have been caught for an awful long time. What I like to see about this breakaway group, Phil, is that there are no passengers. There's nobody hiding in their wheels, pretending that he's a little bit too tired and he doesn't want to share in the pacemaking. All 5 riders here are sharing the pacemaking equally. They're doing fairly long turns, so that means that, to me, that says that they're picking up a slight tailwind. They're riding about 100 to 200 meters on the front before swinging off. As you can see this rider doing, then he'll look across and he'll slip back to the 5th position, and then he'll recuperate for a couple of minutes before it's his turn to do the pacemaking once again. Well, for the moment, Acevedo has now lost his virtual lead on the road by 2 seconds, because it's now saying 2:35 is the gap. So although they are going quickly at the front, the peloton is getting into its rhythm. Oak Creek is down the road. I don't think they'll be picked up by then. The boys still feeling a little bit confident they can hold them off.
There's no real challenges as far as terrain goes. There's always altitude, but they're settling in. We're looking at Frank Schleck, the champion of Luxembourg, on the far right. He's enjoying his visit. He's told us so many times how much he loves racing in the United States, and he does try to crowd please as well. And once again, Laurent Didier having a chat there, the Saxo Bank man who's always also from Luxembourg.
I was thinking it's funny. I'm not quite sure which Frank prefers, Phil, whether it's bike racing in the United States or the fly fishing.
Fly fishing,
because he was very adamant about how much he enjoyed fly fishing when he came up here to Colorado in the first attempt to get himself acclimatized.
Yeah, fly fishing in Colorado where the trout are big, but everything's big here, including the Rocky Mountains and the bears. I thought it was quite funny this morning when a lady said, you should have come round to our kitchen this morning because you would have seen the bears in the trash can. Brought the whole family. The young cub came as well. It's absolutely amazing.
There's incredible wildlife actually throughout Colorado. And yes, we have been traveling most of the time at night, but we've seen anything from deer to foxes, and in fact we saw some very interesting wild owls last night.
Well, we were late enough. Any wise old owl had been in bed the time we finally got to our hotel in Steamboat Springs last night. There's Acevedo. He was the leader on the road. It's just slipped inside. His time gains overnight, or his time losses overnight, is 2:37, but now 2:30. So he's 7 minutes. He's dropped down to second place in this race overall on the road at the moment. Nonetheless, they're going to try to keep on pushing this on because these roads are very, very good for this finish now. We run down to literally all the way down a long straight highway to a T junction. We make a left and it's a straight road, straight into town, straight across the finishing line. There's no left or right. There's no problems for the riders. It is a great finish in Steamboat Springs today. It is a sprinter's delight, let's face it. And if the sprinters can get their chance, they'll go for it.
9.
This is Denifel here as he moves off the front. Very impressed. Actually, I really do like the colours. Okay, colour black of this team from Colombia, but they stand out a mile on television because they're always at the front of the race. They've worked very hard yet, but the old hands have kept them under control just. And Levi Leipine here is saying, more speed, boys. We need to catch up. See you in a moment. Welcome back. Let's have a look at the United Healthcare American standings. Well, I may as well show you the leaders in the overall classification because the top 5 riders, and this is quite amazing, are American. Leipheimer, Van der Velde, Van Garderen, Danielson, Hincapie. Is that a sign of what? As how American cycling has progressed over the last few years. Let's go back down to the action. These are our leaders. They're still clear. Acevedo is the highest placed. He was 2:37 down overnight. The others have lost quite considerably more. They're really racing with not a yellow jersey in mind, but a stage win will go down very nicely. Not so sure that'll happen now. The gap is down to 2 minutes 20. We're coursing our way at high speed towards Oak Creek. That's where the green sprint is, and that's the Smashburger sprint. The only real prize along the route today. There are no mountain climbs today, significant mountain climbs. The road's never flat. It's always rolling along through the beautiful Rockies. And when we get down into Steamboat Springs, there is a long concrete strip which will be a sprinter's delight if they get to sprint it out. All of them working together here. The boys in black are the 2 Colombian riders, Acevedo and Montoya. The other man in black is actually the Leopard Trek rider, Stefan Denifel. Well, as we look here at the breakaway, let's take a chance to get back down to the start earlier today. Bob Roll hunting around. Now he's going to tell us all about the Nissan innovation, which is Garmin pedals.
I'm here with Justin McCarthy from Garmin Cervelo Racing. Watt capture to measure power output is one of the most dramatic innovations in all of cycling in recent years. But now we have a product that takes that to an even higher level. What do you have here for us, Justin?
That's right. Here we've got the first look at Garmin Vector. It's the first pedal-based power meter. And what we've done is really measure power where it matters, and that's right at the pedal. Within the spindle is all the technology, so it's the most robust and protected area on the bike. It also has an accelerometer right inside the spindle, and that's going to give you your cadence without any additional sensors. We're really excited about all the raw data that's going to be able to be collected. And you know, once we get all that data, we're going to analyze it and then be able to see how folks in the cycling community are going to be able to benefit from this great technology.
Well, all right, another strong weapon in every rider's quiver. Thank you very much, Justin.
Yeah, thank you.
Unbelievable, boys. Well, we know the power output is often elsewhere, but in your pedals now, is there going to be anywhere we can hide? And then I'll show you how weak I really am riding a bike. These are the 5 leaders still coursing towards the finish under perfect skies today. The forecast was a good chance of rain towards the top end of the afternoon, so that's great. That'll come when the riders are back in the hotel waiting for the final weekend of this race, which really has caught the imagination of not just the people of Colorado, because the interstate people are watching this as well on the highway. Now, United Healthcare are helping out. That's because they have a sprinter in Robert Foster. Radio Shack are helping out because they've got the leader on the race, Levi Leipheimer, and Liquigas Cannondale. They fancy Viviani for the stage win. 2 minutes 20, though, is still the gap. So there they are, the 3 leaders on the blue skies. We'll take another break as we watch them go through. It's 2:20 as we go to commercial this time. It might be a little bit closer when we get back, but they're not giving up yet, and why should they? See you in a moment. And welcome back. It's stage 4 today of the USA Pro Cycling Challenge, brought to you by Exergy Development. This is the fun and games around the Steamboat Springs here. There's lovely mountains. You can just get up there on your mountain bike. Most of them are out riding at the moment, but they're down for the finish of the race. That water looks good, doesn't it? This is the situation. Our race summary by United Healthcare. 3 riders in the early break. They were joined very quickly by the other 2, which gives us 5 leaders on the road. Currently that gap is remaining at 2 minutes 20, but they're heading into the last 25 miles of the day now, and if they're going to catch them, it's about now they should really whip up the chase, otherwise they're going to steal the show. Here they are. Just look at all of the cars following these boys out front now. These are not public cars, these are part of the race entourage here. These were the cars which were in charge of the feeding station we saw earlier, and they have special permission to pass the leaders and continue to the finish, and safely so. We don't want to see an instant. If you're watching the Tour de France this year, we saw that terrible accident when a television car clipped the leaders and knocked off the bike there, in particular Johnny Hoogeland, who really was in a bad way, but he finished the Tour de France. We don't want to see none of that. These are the overall leaders here. 5 Americans have claimed the top 5 places at the moment, with still 2.5 days of racing left to go to the finish. And the man in yellow, Levi Leipheimer, he really can turn on the star when it comes to racing in the USA. So as we continue to course towards the finish, the profile belying the fact it's not quite all downhill. You get the little kicks in it, but basically we're dropping altitude here, heading into Steamboat and heading into Oak Creek, which we get through at 99 kilometers into the race today. That's 34 kilometers from the finish.
Now, Levi Leipheimer, I think, Phil, having, if you can call it having a day off at 133 kilometers of racing or 83 miles of racing, he is having one today, because there shouldn't be a great challenge to his overall lead tomorrow. I expect that today. I expect that to come tomorrow, but the crowds have certainly turned out once again. The crowds have been phenomenal since the start of this race.
And the gap down to 2:10 as well. So there's a big crowd there. That's the straight I was telling you about. It's a sprinter's delight, isn't it? If we can just see the riders come out of town. This is the main Highway 40 in the center of town. They don't turn off it for the last couple of miles as they run towards the line. Welcome back to the USA Pro Cycling Challenge. The chase is very much on. There has been a change of dictation at the back, though. It is now the Exergy team and the team of the comeback man, Freddie Rodriguez, who seem to be doing most of the work. Now, our pictures have behaved themselves the last couple of days. It looks like they've gone a bit awkward on us just at the moment, as we head down towards the finish here in Steamboat Springs, which the town now is absolutely buzzing here as they go into the last 22 miles of racing. 2 minutes 10 seconds. It's been pretty much that for quite a while now, and the peloton are just holding them and waiting to pounce. That's the feeling I get. But Levi, we saw him chatting earlier, has called his team off the front of that peloton. So I think we might see now other teams take up the chase. Sorry if we briefly lost the pictures out there on the highway. We'll be back with them very shortly.
Well, we're trying to tell you that this area, this valley down here around Steamboat Springs, was originally inhabited by the Yampayticas Utes, and they used to hunt in this valley during the summer. However, in the early part of the 19th century, the trappers started to move into this area, and eventually they were taken over by the ranchers. But skiing in this part of the world, Phil, was originally the only mode of transport during the very hard winter months. And all of a sudden it started to become become a sporting pastime, and that's why this place here at Steamboat Springs really did start to develop.
Well, in my other life as an alpine skiing commentator, in fact, the American ski team are based here, and they always invited me to come to Steamboat Springs, a mythical place until today when I actually have arrived here. Todd Lodwick is one of the top Nordic combined skiers. He's actually here, and he's been camping on the hills. Well, I think we just went through the Smashburger sprint there. I have to say, it came up on us, and nobody said a thing. There you are. Well, I don't know who won, but it wasn't a sprint at all, the Smashburger there, and I'm not surprised, Paul, because 3 seconds isn't going to help these guys, is it, really?
Well, no, these guys, they're more concerned about working together and trying to consolidate and stay with their advantage and see how much of their advantage they can retain and hope that they can run down towards the finish. But we're well inside of a 2-minute advantage now. The last official time check I got was 1:40.
These boys have just gone past the kilometre now into the sprint, so the gap is closing down pretty rapidly. It is Liquigas Cannondale, the Italian-American squad, who want this all together now. Viviani is a rapid finisher for them. We've seen him in action. He won the sprint into Gunnarson when we passed through there on the way to Great Crested Butte. So we know he packs a very good sprint finish.
No, certainly he'll be looking to try and get that win. Experienced rider. He's had 4 victories so far this season, and he's got an experienced squad as well. Exergy, Team Exergy are the team doing most of this pacemaking. And as you say, for Team Radio Shack, Phil, this is a great situation to be in.
It is indeed. So just looking here at the phase, a beautiful road surface here, I have to say, for these boys here. As we're seeing 5 readers now diminish. 140 is the latest gap. Now Exergy are at the front here. They're into Oak Creek here, and the sprint point. There is the sprint point, and what a lovely sight that is as the crowd cheers them through Oak Creek. There was no reason for them to do a race for the first place. That's already gone. Now these boys at the front here now, Exergy Development, are racing for Freddie Rodriguez. So let's have a look now, remind ourselves of the Cannondale profile. There he is, all smart, he's back. He's had a couple of years out the sport. He is a stage winner in the Giro d'Italia back in 2004. 3 times US road race champ. He does pack a sprint finish, and the boys have been told to get up there and try and get him up to those leaders. Comes from Berkeley in California right now. Fast Freddy is what we call him, and we do that for very good reason. We'll see. The boys continue going downhill on these sweeping descents now. But the gap is coming down. The peloton is traveling that little bit quicker just at the moment as they continue down the hill, though. But we can go back to the start early today before the riders got away. Bob Roll actually had a few words with Freddie Rodriguez.
Fred, you've taken a couple of seasons out of the sport. What have you been doing in the meantime since your comeback?
A lot. You know, we had our 3rd child a year and a half ago, so we're busy with the family. We built a new house, and I launched a new clothing company called Proof Cycling. It's a high-end apparel, cycling apparel. And in the meantime, I got the bug again, the race, and I called Exergy, and they were in the same place where they were growing their team and needed you know, somebody with a lot of experience to bring the team to the next level. And so here we are. You know, the U.S. Pro Cycling Challenge is one of the biggest races in the country, and for sure it's becoming one of the biggest races in the world. We got the best riders in the world. So it's a good place to make a comeback.
And how has it been going in the race so far?
Good. You know, it's been hard. It's, you know, the altitude's definitely been playing a big part for me and for everybody else. I felt it yesterday in a time trial. You know, I tried to go just a nice steady pace, but you know, I think it was pretty close to a hard pace. So it's like, you know, everybody was suffering out there, and it's definitely a race that is gonna tax us all today. Especially, I think we're gonna all start feeling it today.
And not a lot of sprinters in the field, and perhaps a sprint stage. Do you fancy your chances going for it at the finish?
Definitely. I mean, today is probably our most important stage for our team. You know, Carlos and myself are very fast guys. We're going to do everything we can to put ourselves in a place for a win. You know, it's the kind of sprint that I like. It's straight on, no tricks, no 200-meter from the corner, kind of jump out of the corner, American style racing. This is European racing. So it's a good chance. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to give everything I have, and you know, you'll see me there in the last kilometer fighting it out.
All right, Freddie. Best of luck.
Thanks.
Yeah, good on you, Freddie. I'm totally unbiased as the commentator, but I hope you win today. Well, the last time Freddie Rodriguez won a race, by the way, was the first stage of the Tour of Elk Grove in 2007. He did a couple of years with the Rock Racing team, didn't get any results, and he stopped. and hasn't raced for 2 years, but as you can see, he looks pretty fit. His eyes are sparkling. That's a good sign. He's on form, and he knows this finish. He's right. There's nothing in your way. It's dead straight down Highway 40 all the way to the line. It is a real sprint finish today. But first of all, as I always say, they've got to catch these 5 boys, which are now coursing 90 seconds in front of Fast Freddy and the rest of the sprinters in the USA Pro Cycling Challenge. Well, we're back here in Steamboat Springs as the race comes towards us. Let me remind you that live on Universal Sports every day is daily coverage of the Tour of Spain, the last big Grand Tour of the year. That begins at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Check your local listings there for more details. The current lead of that race, last 3 days, is the Frenchman, Sylvain Chavanel. The fans are in town now. They're finding the best vantage points here in Steamboat. Look at the crowd down here now. There wasn't too many down there a couple of hours ago, but there they all are now. They know the race is heading in towards town. Little look at the concentration on the face of Frank Schleck here, the champion of Luxembourg, who is now riding there alongside Oscar Alvarez, one of the Copenhagen de Antiquoya teams. These are the 5 leaders. The gap is coming down. They're just over 16 miles to go. There's the names for you, and the gap is now down 75 seconds. So they're really whipping up the chase at the moment now, and I think a lot of the work being done as it is by Liquigas Cannondale and the Exidy team of Freddy Rodriguez and Alaya Viviani. Well, looking at Liquigas Cannondale there, one of their members is the American rider, Ted King. Here's what he had to say this morning to Bob Roll.
Ted, how has the USA Pro Cycling Challenge been treating you so far? Looks like a lot of carnage out there.
Yeah, so far so good. I mean, weather's been agreeable for the most part, and yeah, I mean, getting used to the altitude, and it's been so far so good.
Have you searched for any of the early breakaways?
Stage 2, the Queen stage, I knew both Cottonwood and Independence Pass pretty well, so I was trying to get in that, and then after a early quick breakaway that was reeled in, I was getting ready to go again, and we got stuck in that crash with the cattle grate. So that was tough, and just basically rode to the finish from there.
Today, perhaps a chance for the sprinters, and Liquigas Cannondale maybe has the fastest man in the field. Do you guys have a plan for a stage win today with Daniel Oss?
Yeah, both, well, Oss and Elia Viviani are both, sprinting really well, so that's the direction we're leaning.
How's the altitude treating your European teammates?
They're acclimatizing pretty well. The first 2 stages are tough, but after that, right now we're day 5, stage 4. It's all good right now.
And talk a little bit about the lead out, how it might unfold, if you guys have a plan for that coming into Steamboat Springs today.
Yeah, it's a fairly direct straight shot 3K in, and make a few turns and then 3 kilometers straight to finish. So we have, some big fast guys. I don't want to unload too much detail. But yeah, I mean, ultimately Oss and Viviani are the 2 guys we're going to be looking for.
All right, Ted, good luck.
Thanks very much, Bob.
Well, there's nobody else listening, Ted, just all our viewers here on Versus. And, OK, we'll look out for Viviani, I think, and possibly Oss as well. Well, there he is, Ted King now doing his job out there, number 54 in the peloton. As our picture is frozen up again from the aircraft today. 25 kilometers to go. The 70 seconds is the gap. And the crowd getting their best position down here in the center of Steamboat Springs. Well, you see all the riders have checked out the route today. They're given the route in detail, of course, in their overnight books, and they know exactly what's coming into town. The last 3 kilometers is dead straight. There's not a kink in the road for the sprinters, as the fans continue to enjoy themselves here in town. They're getting ready. Even the dog is getting ready. Well done. That's Jack Russell. Right, here we go. We'll take a break. Leipheimer salutes the crowd. The Flowbots entertain the crowd, and they certainly will be on Sunday when they'll perform live in Denver. That's where we're headed to on Sunday. Right now we're headed to Steamboat Springs here. The pace is on now, to say the least. The lead is crumbling pretty quickly. These are the 5 survivors out in front. We're now looking to well inside a minute as the race gets really on fire. 50 seconds is the official time gap. I think if you pan around you might even see the riders now. We're well through the sprint point, and we're heading down to the last few miles of the race into Steamboat. Just looking out, the blue skies and the fluffy white clouds here as the riders come storming into town. They'll hit a T-junction as they turn left onto Highway 40, and then it's straight through to the finishing line. The peloton are flat out. It is Freddie Rodriguez's squad. He is really confident, Paul. He hasn't won a race, Freddie Rodriguez, since he won the stage of the Tall Elk Grove back in 2007. Then he had a couple of years out. Now he's confident. He believes he can win today.
Well, he tried his legs out, tried his sprinting legs out a couple of days ago when he went for one of the intermediary sprints, and he showed everybody a very clean pair of wins with a serious gap over Robert Forster, who is a reference as well, because Forster was well up there in the opening days prologue time trial around Colorado Springs, and that's an indication that Forster as well has got very good form for this USA Pro Cycling Challenge in Colorado.
There'll be one or two sprinters seeing this as one of only 2 chances in the whole week of racing to get a victory for the sprinters. So we'll just see what happens here. There is the green jerseyed. He's not the points leader, but he's wearing the jersey on loan from Leipheimer, who rides in yellow today. That's George Hincapie. He's happy enough talking to his team leader, Cadel Evans. Guided him around the Tour de France, did George, to victory. Now he's guiding him around the state of Colorado.
Well, I think the roles will have to be reversed here, Phil, because in fact George Hincapie is in front of Cadel Evans in the overall standings. Hincapie got himself that stage a couple of days ago into Aspen, and I don't think Cadel Evans would at all be concerned about looking after George Hincapie, because one of the reasons he felt comfortable coming to this team was a bit of a split here, Phil. There's a bit of an acceleration coming.
It had to come. See their lights in the backdrop there. They're the police escort bringing the race forward here, and this had to come. They've got rid of one of the Goberration riders, probably Montoya, who's dropped off there. They're both first-year pros, by the way, as they step up the tempo. These are really the death throes of the breakaway, it has to be said. And they've dropped one of the riders from Colombia, and it's Denefeld here of Leopard Trek who's trying to stir up the action.
Well, that's pretty much taken out of the handbook of professional cycling, a move like that, when you've realized you can just see the main field in the background. They can see their prey. They can judge how much effort they now need to put in. But when you've had a 5-man group for a long period of time, then all of a sudden you start to think, guys, we've still got a chance of winning this bike race. So you put in a little burst like that to see if you can slip out of that 5-man leading group. Well, all it's done is it's taken one casualty for the moment, but it has stretched that gap from 50 seconds back up to the 1-minute mark.
The peloton are returning. That massive cyclist in the distance, so we can see them, they can see us now, and the one man in between is Montoya's been dropped.
Yep.
So as they come up the rise here, the peloton is about to lasso in the breakaway here as they dance on those pedals. Desperate moments here on the USA Pro Cycling Challenge. We'll see you back in a minute. Well, these are the 4 leaders now. One has gone as they continue to race towards the finish, but the peloton, you can just see them there in the distance coming around that far bend, and so they're closing down nicely as the one man who has dropped, Montoya, is almost back in the main field at the moment. Now United Healthcare on the front. They're riding, of course, now for Robert Forster. The skilled Shimano boys are up. That's the second wheel. They're riding for Kenny Van Hummel. The Liquidas Cannondale are there. They're riding for Elia Viviani. And now, who's working for Bob Roll? That's what I like to know. Let's go outside to the finishing line. Bob, tell us what it's like down there.
The course straightens out with about 3 kilometers to go and sets up for a furious mad dash to the line. In this sprint, speed and patience will not be mutually exclusive. The rider with a very cool hand will win the day, but watch for the lead out. The lead out is going to be absolutely critical. The team that is best organized will win the day.
Thank you, Bob. Now, a lead out, of course, is what these boys are trying to do. They use their team to lead out their best sprinter to the line. So they protect him till the last possible minute. Then they launch him to the finish and hope he has the better legs than the man that's alongside of him. 4 men in the lead. There's the chase. So, Paul, as we look here at the leaders now, looks as though Liquigas are taking control. Look at this now. They've got 7, 8 riders. They've got the whole squad on the front.
Yeah, well, now they've started to feel very confident. They are a great squad here, Phil. They've got themselves lined out on the front end of the main field. The last man in that line will be Viviani. As we so far this year. 22 years of age. He is a star from the future, but this is a great opportunity. And let's not forget, although it's an Italian squad, Liquigas Cannondale has an American sponsor. It's extremely important for them to try and get a stage victory here.
And they have two potential winners here. They've got Daniel Oss as well as Elia Viviani. I think Viviani's the quicker, and so it might be Oss will be the last man to lead him to the line if that's the way it's going to be. But these four boys are saying, hey, you've got to catch us first, and they're working pretty hard right now.
Well, they are. The big pressure now is coming from the two riders from Team Type 1. Rubens Bertogliati knows if he can get into the outskirts of town and he's still got 20 or 30 seconds advantage, this is a good chance of a victory for him.
Yeah.
He leapt out of the main pack when he won the stage of the Tour de France into Luxembourg with an extremely well-timed last explosion.
Yes, and Bertogliati could win. I think if it came to the sprint between the four, he would win the stage, but he's got to stay away. That's the only thing. As the roads continue now, as look at that now, these are not the conducive roads to staying away. The Rockies are all looking down here. We're on a sort of plateau, but we're still 2,000 meters above sea level, and the boys are racing right down the center of the mountains right now, heading to Steamboat. And they're all working hard. This is Stefan Denefeld who's making the pace there for Leopard Trek, the same team as Andy and Frank Schleck. Now look at this, we've all gone lime green here because Liquigas Cannondale have offloaded the whole team at the front. The little rider at the back is the man they want to win, and that's Viviani.
Well, it was only for a little while that gap went back over the 1 minute margin, because it's now back inside of 55 seconds, and you can see the scrambling in that peloton, Phil, there briefly from the helicopter as everyone wants to try and stay in contact of the rider in front. Watch out though, TJ Van Garderen in that pale blue jersey, the best young rider overall and third overall in the standings. He said that he will look for time bonus if he can. He's not one of the great sprinters, but if this is a strange sprint, he's always got a very good chance of getting himself into the top three.
Well, it's all against four right now, that's for sure. There in the distance is Steamboat Springs. It looks almost as though you can reach out and touch it. That's how close these four boys are to getting a successful day out today. But it is still 8.6 miles from the finish. This is where we're headed to. This is the finish today of stage 4 at Steamboat Springs. The crowd are ready. All we need is the winner. Welcome back as the riders now are splitting up in this breakaway. The peloton has just this moment swept up another one of them. Bertogliati is back in the field, and it was ironically, despite the attack of his teammate, we can show you that here. These are the three riders trying to go. Moments ago there was an attack come, and there it is from Vladimir Efekim. Bertogliati already sitting up and freewheeling. He felt the time was done. The peloton were here. Efekim, who is now 29 years of age, was hoping that he could stay away, but not to be. There are still three of them. The one Colombian, one rider from Russia, and one rider from Luxembourg. They're trying to stay away at the moment. These three riders are now dangling, just like the bait, as this is the interminable chase now by Liquigas Cannondale as they progress. In the pack, Freddie Rodriguez hangs on in there. He's the big hope. It would be a fairy tale return to big-time bike racing if Freddie Rodriguez were to win the race today. He doesn't know how he's going to react to the competition that's come in from Europe at this level, because Freddie's on his comeback trail after a couple of years of no racing whatsoever. I thought we were never going to see Fast Freddie in action again.
Well, he's still got the enthusiasm, and once you've got that fast twitch fibre, just like Freddie Rodriguez, well, then you've got a very good chance. Viviani will be sitting very close to the front end of the main field, and there he is wearing number 58. He's right at the back, so I don't think there's any question at all, Phil, who Liquigas Cannondale are working for.
None whatsoever, and the man right in front of him is the other big sprinter, Daniel Oss. He's the lead-out man for Viviani. Leipheimer in the yellow there, he'll just keep out of trouble. Let me remind you about the rules of international cycle racing. Once the riders get inside 3 kilometers to go, that's about 1.8 miles, They all get the same time at the finish if they are all together. So in other words, if you fall off or have a flat tire, you won't lose time. It's a safety rule, really, and so all Leipheimer has to do is get into that last 3 kilometers today and not worry about the rest of the day of racing. He's not going to try and win this stage. That's the sprinter's prerogative now.
Well, these guys are not going to try and win the stage either. Let's have a little chat. Frank and Andy, they're two brothers. They are the inseparable Siamese twins from the Tour de France, 2nd and 3rd place in the overall standings this year. They will not get involved. It looks as if the 3 riders in the middle are about to get pulled up, and this is that T-junction you were talking about just now. Looks as if everybody's around it nice and safely. Levi Leipheimer making sure that he keeps in contact with the front end of the peloton, because he knows that not too far behind him, only looking for 11 seconds, is Christian van der Velde, and looking for 17 seconds Van Garderen.
Now tomorrow they go straight across. They don't go turn right on the return tomorrow. They're on Highway 40 now. They head to Breckenridge, straight out of town. But right now they've turned their back on Breckenridge as they race towards the day's finish in Steamboat Springs. The field has made the turn. They know now there's no more turns here as they charge in towards town. The road gets even better and wider as they come into Steamboat. What a wonderful sight, Paul, as the peloton charge down here.
Look at the length of that main field. You might just notice Cadel Evans keeps coming right up to the front. Cadel Evans has turned their books around this afternoon at this race, the US Pro Cycling Challenge. He's not concerned about winning the Tour de France. That's been done. That's already in the history books. But what he's doing, he's looking after his own teammate, the American George Hincapie. It's payback time.
Well, you're right. And wouldn't it be nice to see George get a 2nd stage win and a small time bonus? It'll move him right up towards the overall leaderboard. Life is not entirely safe for Levi Leipheimer, because remember, his lead overall is only 11 seconds over Van der Velde. If Van der Velde were to win the stage, he would get a 10-second time bonus. That would put him down to 1 second behind Levi Leipheimer, and it's not impossible. Christian Van der Velde is a very, very good sprinter as well. The peloton, though, you can tell when the pressure's on when you've got the kite situation. That's the long, thin ribbon at the back.
Yeah, well, you might have noticed that Garmin Cervelo in the black and white jerseys, they're all riding very closely knit together, because they realise, yeah, Christian van der Velde, Phil, he has got a pedigree of racing on the track. He can produce a fine sprint, especially when the pressure is on like this. The main field is still, though, under the control of the men in lime green and white, and that, of course, is Liquigas. Well, a little bit of power information coming over the last 20 minutes, just inside of 200 watts. So if you're sitting in the main field, it's a nice, easy ride. But I'll tell you one thing: if you've got a pair of lime green shorts on, your power output is around about 350 at this time.
Because you drive to your limit now and you sit up and get out the way, because slowly but surely Liquigas Canadell trying to finish up with 1 man left at the front when they cross the line. That'll be Viviani, who's down there. He's the last man in those lime green jerseys, but he's being pushed over a little bit now by Team BMC, who are trying to move George Hincapie in that lime green jersey. Don't be confused there. That is a classification leaders jersey of the points competition, but it's very much a BMC rider. It's Hincapie.
Well, watch out. There's a rider in a black and white jersey, and he's the Kiwi national champion, Hayden Ralston, and he is looking after TJ Van Garderen. He's got Van Garderen up at the front end of the main field. 23 years of age. He had the overall leaders jersey. He did not enjoy relinquishing it, and he may well battle it back on a flat stage, because he's looking for time bonus seconds.
He needs time bonuses, of course. He's third place, 17 seconds behind. A bonus today would be very, very invaluable to him with 2 days to race. So there's a lot of reasons to win today with those small time bonuses for the first 3 riders over the line. We've just gone past 5 kilometers or 3 miles to race.
Well, there you might just notice Freddie Rodriguez, 133 on his back. He doesn't have any of his teammates around him now. He has to ride on his own individually. He's got to take the advantage from some of the other teams working together. Skill Shimano over there on the left-hand side there as well, getting themselves organised. They're preparing the sprint for Kenny Van Hummel.
The rider you saw peel off there, his job done, was none other than Ivan Basso. He's the early trendsetter at the front. He's now slipped to the back of the field for Liquigas Cannondale, as now they've found help at the front here and breaking in just a little bit now as Leopard Trek try to break up this front group.
Well, this is Jens Voigt. You cannot mistake the shape of Jens Voigt, the rolling part of his shoulders. It looks as if he's trying to break his machine in half, fighting with the machine, getting as much energy out as possible, but he's dishing out some pain once again.
4 kilometers to go. That was a very, very quick kilometer here by the riders as they race into town. They're going to continue to switch around on this road, but very soon it will straighten out into a mass charge for the line down a very wide road indeed. Jens Voigt is bringing them down into Steamboat Springs off the hills today. That's causing a little bit of confusion for Liquigas, who thought they had complete control of this race. And in fact, Leopard Trek have gone in amongst them.
Well, I have to say, I'm not quite sure why they're charging down like this, because they don't have any of the really fast sprinters in the world. But for a guy like Jens Voigt, he knows that when you run into town like this, fast and furious, and you stretch out the long line of the main peloton, it's a lot safer race.
Yes, stay at the front, keep out of trouble, but you need a strong pair of legs and a big heart to ride on the front at this sort of speed and at this stage of the race. So we've got still BMC trying to get in there. George Hincap is dropped back just a little bit. They still got chance. As we go over the far side, this is now the straightening up as they go through yet another kilometre ticked off. That'll be 3K to go, I think.
Well, still battling on the front, big old Jens Voigt keeping it nice and high. In third or fourth position in the red and black jersey, the winner of the Tour de France this year, Cadel Evans. He's quite happy. Again, he's up there to keep himself out of danger. Number 24 there for Team Leopard Trek is Anders Lund.
But look at this, Levi Leipheimer mixing it with the sprinters on the far right of the road. He's concerned because he's seen that TJ Van Garderen and Christian van der Velde have moved up to the front, his two nearest rivals. He doesn't want to see them snatch the win bonuses, because if he does, he'll be that much closer to losing yellow tonight. He can't lose it on a sprint win. It's a 10-second victory. Van der Velde's 11 behind.
Well, then it's 6 for second and 4 for third place. But this race is only separated in the first 3 places by 17 seconds, and that's why it's so important to try and get a time bonus if you can. That's why on this occasion, strangely enough, we're seeing guys who are not normally sprinters mixing it up right at the front end of the pack, because they realize every day now is ticking down till we get to Denver. They've got to take every opportunity.
Well, they're setting the skilled Shimano riders who've come to the front right now to give it their best shot. They're thinking of Kenny Van Hummel here. Van Hummel is in a tremendous sprint form. He's had a few victories this year, and he said actually on his Twitter site there's only 2 stages that can win, and one is into Steamboat Springs, so he wants it.
He certainly does want it there. The third place rider of the lime green jerseys there, that is Elio Viviani on the front there. You can see Van Hummel is in second position, and that's not necessarily a good place to be, and I think he's too close to the front as they're starting to get swamped now on the right-hand side there by the men in the blue and white jerseys. Those are the teammates of United Healthcare, of Robert Forster. This is a good acceleration and organisation.
Well, they're running not far outside the 1 kilometre to go now. United Healthcare has started the move on the left, but High Road have also gone to the right, and they put almost their skilled Shimano back in the action here. The last race Kenny Van Hummel won, by the way, was a stage of the Tour of Turkey back in May. Now, it looks as though under the Maxis 1 kilometre to go, it is United Healthcare leading out.
They're thinking about the German riders, a great sprinter, and I wouldn't be surprised if people are pulling out of the way now because they're starting to realise this is getting a bit complicated. Dodging and diving. Martin Mortensen's right in there. He's the rider for Team Saxo Bank who's trying to get himself a place finish here this afternoon. Watch out for the organisation on the left, because Garmin Cervelo are trying to move Christian van der Velde up, but again, slowly but surely, the big experience of this team, Liquigas Canadel, are bringing their man Viviani towards the fore.
At the moment, it is Viviani versus Robert Forster. They're the two sprinters who seem to be making the most of it now, as Steenson makes a run on the right here in the orange jersey. Looking across as Hincapie also puts a move in too, but this is the final lead out. Daniel Oss is leading out Viviani for the line. They're all scrapping for him. Now Viviani goes on the right of the road. Viviani's being challenged by Robert Forster, but Viviani's got a good pair of legs here as he races up to line. Elia Viviani takes it on the line, and that was well thought out, led out perfectly by Daniela Oss.
Well, that was incredible organisation by one of the top teams in the world. Excuse me, how happy is he with that one? Thanks to the team, thanks to everybody else, and that was a great sprint finish. We were expecting this young man to come out. Amazing that we are now starting to see a bit of a renaissance coming along here, because we're talking about new kids coming to the top of the sport, 22, 23, 24 years of age.
Win number 5 of the season for Elia Viviani, a pro for only 2 years. It brings his total up to 9 in those 2 years as a professional. Frank Schleck there having a chat with Lawrence Tendam, probably asking him who won, because where he was, he wouldn't know.
Unless he had a periscope.
Well, we're looking out across the hills here where the mountain bike trails are in numerous courses over there, as we are now in Steamboat Springs with the USA, a pro cycling challenge. And Elia Viviani, an Italian, has won the day with a perfect sprint.
Yeah, we'll have a look at this. He's got his teammate. He's using his teammate right up to the last moment, and then he just dives down to the left-hand side, creating a little bit of confusion. You've got Robert Forster in the blue there trying to find a way through, but all of a sudden the gaps are getting closed left and right. And Viviani, this point, you've no chance, mate. Nobody's coming up there to challenge me at all.
Van Hummel was in the mix. I think he might have got third there because I think it was Morkov who was possibly second, but the photo will decide. No doubt, though, who won, and no doubt who led out whom, because they're both ecstatically delighted. Daniel Oss leading Viviani to the line with a perfect lead out.
Well, that's a great win. Yes, it's an Italian team, but I think he was pointing there, Phil, to the American sponsor there, and that, of course, Cannondale, the bicycle manufacturer.
Yeah, well, he's won in Italy, he's won in India, he won a stage in Mumbai this year, the small race there. He also won in Slovenia. He's getting around the world, is Elia Viviani, and now he's won here in the United States.
Well, it was Morkov got himself up there into second place for Team Saxo Bank. Kenny Van Hummel third, and Robert Forster fourth. And let's not forget, no change at all in the overall standings, Phil, because Levi Leipheimer will still be in yellow tonight.
Yes, he'll be rushed off to receive another Quiznos yellow jersey, but the stage win has been a battle of the sprinters, the only one we've had so far. And Foster would not be too happy with fourth because his team did put him in the right place, but he got swept away just on the liner. And it was a very, very good ride by the team from Liquigas Cannondale, but they deserved it because they really took this race control as they ran into the finish.
Well, with 10-15 miles to go, they went to the front and they did all of the pacemaking. They were responsible for chasing down first the three riders who were left behind, and then finally they pulled the last man back into the fold and continued to keep in a good solid block to organize the final few kilometers. And it's sometimes the last 400 or 500 meters which can be the most important in a sprint.
Well, they are the most important, but the lead-out men got it right for Liquigas Cannondale. But because all of the riders crossed the line together, there is no time split at all, except for the small-time bonuses for the first three. So Leipheimer has conserved now all of his gains overnight. So let's have a look at the results then. There we are, the United Healthcare standings. Viviani, the sprinter, gets his 5th victory of the season ahead of Michael Morkov, who still awaits his first pro win. Kenny Van Hummel, Skilchimana was 3rd, Foster was in 4th, and Dennis Van Winden, who's a pretty good sprinter on his day, he was in 5th place for Rabobank. Castagnardi, you can't keep the Colombians out of the results, can we? Good ride there by Danny Summerhill of Garmin Cervelo. He's on a sort of roll here, finishing in 7th place, and Alexander Efrakim, that wasn't the man in the breakaway, that was his brother Vladimir. So Alexander tried to deliver. There's the winner being escorted away for the prize presentation. Remember that these pictures are spinning around the world here, so the Italians will know that they've got a winner here in Steamboat Springs as he continues towards the area for the podium. There's a quick flash over the line by Elia Viviani. We'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll be down there amongst it, and we'll see you back here in Steamboat Springs. Welcome back as we now again look around the beautiful Rocky Mountains here. The images, as always, brought to you by Colorado.com. Steamboat Springs on our tour here in the Colorado state. And now let's have a look first of all at our Road ID Ride of the Day. Has to be for the sprinter today, doesn't it? I think you might have otherwise, and therefore you can tell us overnight. We'll tell everybody tomorrow, but right now it's Elia Viviani with a great sprint finish, perfectly led out by Daniel Ross, who's got his 5th win of the year. Racing right up to the line, challenged by Immortal, but it wasn't any good because he's just a little bit too quick, and he's only 22.5 years of age. So to vote on who you think should be today's Ride of the Day recipient and win the shopping spree, head on over to roadid.com/ride. We'll announce that pick tomorrow as we move on now to United Healthcare. Full results here for you. Inside 3 hours for the 62 miles of racing today. Michael Morkov in 2nd, Kenny Van Hummel in 3rd, Robert Ford, all sprinters, these boys. Very, very good result for Danny Summerhill there from Garmin Cervelo. George Hincapie in amongst it in 9th. Fast Freddy, still got to get those twitch fibers back, but in 10th place today for him. Lead out man for the winner was in 11th place. And looking down there, top 15 completed by Jeff Lauder. These boys all in the pack today. TJ Van Garderen still in amongst it in 19th place for him, but all in the same time, as you can see, 0-0-0, which means, of course, that there'll be no change in the overall classification. Levi Leipheimer keeping a close eye on Van der Velde, 21st and 24th as they cross the line in that big pack. So that's the first 25 riders as our computer has seen them cross the line. The crowd now scurrying towards the prize presentation area here. Massive crowd. As we've seen, we saw a massive crowd yesterday in Vale. They've continued here. We're about 100 miles away from Vale now at the race today, finishing here. Now we go back in reverse. One of the quickest ways back to Breckenridge tonight or tomorrow is via Vale, so it's not the way the race route will go. So we're running around the Rockies again tomorrow. We'll just have a quick look around the race course for you as we go back to the start here. This is how they got the send-off as they left Avon today, which is about a 50-minute drive from Vale. Very soon on, the breakaway was forming after a little scurry of the usual attacks. 3 of them got away. These were 2 Colombians and Stefan Denefeld. Then came the 2 boys on the same team. They couldn't believe it. 2 riders being allowed to go clear from Team Type 1, Battagliati and Vladimir Epikim. They caught up with the other 3, Acevedo, Denefeld and Montoya. And the breakaway on the day, we call it the early morning break, was established. They headed on down towards Oak Creek, charging into town for the sprint. They didn't really sprint it out. They didn't need to. It was Acevedo taking them through the line there, highest placed in the breakaway. Just on a minute later, the main field were charging through town under the escort of the XG team, hoping they could guide Freddy Rodriguez to the finish. With Steamboat Springs on the horizon, a little bit closer than the horizon was the breakaway, which was quite literally breaking up. 2 riders were already caught, and as we swung onto the roads to approach the finish into Steamboat Springs, the whole breakaway was wiped out. So it was down to the sprinters at 1 kilometre to go. The sprinters doing their stuff well. It looked as though Robert Foster was getting a perfect lead out by United Healthcare, but it wasn't as good as the lead out by Danielle Oss there, who gave Viviani a shot at the line. And then once he got to the front there, it was a Mark Cavendish type finish, wasn't it? He wasn't going to relinquish any of that. Celebrations all round. Kenny Van Hummel on the right there have to be content with 3rd place. Michael Moorcock, the new young sprinter on the Saxo Bank Sungard team on the far right of our picture, hasn't quite got the speed that Viviani has got. Still, he got 2nd place, and Van Hummel there in 3rd. So that's the first win for Viviani since he won the Grand Prix Nobili in July. Now we're going to probably have to test the Italian now of Bobby Roll, because now he's talking with the winner, who might be, maybe he speaks English. Let's find out, Bob.
Elliot, congratulations on a great sprint to the line. Take us through the last couple of 100 meters with a big team effort by Liquigas Cannondale.
Yeah, this is a very good moment for the Liquigas in the Vuelta in the Colorado. Siamo un big team because today worked all day, because when Basso and Dagan go out the general, the team is very good for me in the sprint. Today worked all day. Basso, Dagan and Cimolai and us in the last kilometer is fantastic guys, but I'm very happy because this victory promises me for go to the world for maybe, and I'm very happy. Thanks.
And Daniel Oss took you as close to the line as you needed.
But for tomorrow, I think the team work for us.
Okay. Well, congratulations and best of luck.
Thank you.
Well done. He speaks fluent English, certainly. Well done to him. And now we get to the yellow jersey here, presented by Quiznos, back on Leipheimer's shoulders. Well, there he is, Paul. At the end of the day, I think we could say it wasn't really a tough day for him. as he continues now. We've got him, Levi Leipheimer sitting there. He's got the yellow jersey on. This is the first time since we started this event where we've had somebody defend his lead.
Yep, and Levi Leipheimer, I think a little bit upset to lose his lead on the descent down Independence Pass, but he certainly bounced back with an incredible individual time trial today. And today, the Team Radio Shack, I think, rode a perfect defense to keep him with that slender 11-second advantage still over Van der Velde. I still feel that Van der Velde and Tommy Danielson, within 21 seconds, have got a very good chance of turning the tables tomorrow on the climb up to Breckenridge.
It won't be a sprint tomorrow. I think we can say that with a great deal of confidence, and so they might see some change in this situation, but at the moment the 5 Americans are dominating the overall situation. 6th place, Infantino on the road in Vale in the time trial has pierced the top 6 leaderboard. He did a terrific ride there, and he pushed Cadell Evans down into 7th place. Rory Sutherland, another good time trialist. He's an Australian, completing the top 10. So the stage winner, I can hear the podiums now, as they're now. There he is, that's Laia Viviani. He speaks extremely good English, by the way.
No, he certainly does. It's amazing to think 22 years of age. This man has so far garnered 5 individual victories this year. And watch out for him, because that little bit, he's won himself a cowboy hat.
I didn't enjoy that. He's going to take it. That's better.
Got it the wrong way around, though.
Dear. Well, you know, he isn't American after all, but there we go. That line suits him down to the ground.
Well, now we know we're in cowboy country, don't we?
Well, that was a great sprint win, and he's pretty happy to have done that. His last victory was the Grand Prix Nobili in July, just after the Tour de France.
But that, Phil, once again, that was a team victory, wasn't it? I mean, you saw the work they did out on the course. Guys like Tim Duggan buried themselves, turned themselves inside out to pull back that breakaway. And eventually then, in the last 300 or 400 metres, big old Daniel Oss really made a big dash for the line to set it up to perfection.
Yeah, I think he's won a horse as well.
I think he's going to ride off on a horse.
My goodness me, look at that. Now, where else can you be but in the United States, in the wild and woolly West here, when it all comes, everything's delivered by horseback.
Only in America is Ilya Viviani.
So absolutely tremendous there for Viviani, and it looks like there's a little bottle of champagne as well. So as we see the champagne opened here, let's go back to Bob Roll, who's now with the race leader, Levi Leipheimer.
Levi seemed like a very tough defense of the leader's jersey on today's stage because of the presence of Acevedo in the breakaway, who started the stage only just over 2.5 minutes behind. How was it out there today?
Yeah, well, you know, the Colombian team, especially Gobernacion, they're always aggressive. Doesn't matter if it's uphill, flat, or downhill, they're always attacking. But Team Radio Shack did an awesome job today. I think we were in good control of the race, and then in the end, there was a lot of other teams interested in the sprint, especially Liquigas. So I'm happy to see them win the stage. They really did a lot of work, and they deserved it.
Couple more days. How are you feeling looking towards the finish of the race in Denver?
Day by day, but one more day down and 2 to go.
All right, Levi, best of luck in the next couple of stages.
I'll need it. Thank you.
Yeah, well, he's smiling, and Levi's feeling very confident with the way he rode in. Now with that massive crowd down there. How on earth am I going to get home tonight? This is a presentation of the top 3. Kenny Van Hummel from the skill team on the right here, receiving his flowers for 3rd place. I know he wanted to win and he thought he could, but he still got 3rd place. And gets the congratulations here from Steamboat Springs. So there's Van Hummel, all smiles despite being lost. I think he still, no, we missed the kissing there. I didn't see the kissing there of Ashley and Rachel. I think it's become a competition between our 2 hostesses of how much they can get the lipstick on the riders' faces, because they do it every day, and they're doing perfect images now.
Doing a pretty impressive job on Levi Leipheimer, that's for sure. But those are the top 3 on the stage, and 3 Briggs sprinters, and Kevin Van Hummel on the right-hand side there, I think probably a little bit disappointed, because he felt, as he said today, Phil, on his Twitter site, today was the day that he felt he had a good chance of a victory.
Oh, peeping in from around the trees now at the presentation podium. A massive crowd here crammed into the main street in Steamboat Springs. This is very much a sporting town, believe me. Mountain bike trails abound up them there hills, and if you don't mountain bike when the snows come, you can really enjoy your cross-country skiing. It's home of the Nordic combined USA ski team in the winter.
Yeah, Phil,
the people pack the streets.
Well, Phil, last night we were at that reception for the 35th anniversary of the Celestial Seasonings bike race. But I tell you what, if you look at these crowds here, they are very much comparable to what they were like in years gone by.
Yes, they were indeed, and I think another rubber stamp onto the fact that they want this race back again next year. Here we have Walter Pedranza, who is still the leader. He's led this for 2 days without having to be seen, because there's been no counting hills in the Nissan King of the Mountains for the last 2 days. So he did well to get his hands on it 3 days ago. Different tomorrow, though. If he can hold it by tomorrow night, then he might be able to say he's won this event with a day to go, because there's only a small climb left on the last day of this race. So he'll be watching out for that. Here come the girls again. You see, they do it on purpose, I'm convinced.
Yeah, well, excellent job there. Well, on this final day, Phil, yes, the only climb left is a third category climb.
This is the King of the Mountains, sponsored by Nissan, which is the overall. 24 points for Pedranza. He's nearly home and dry. Ostland, I don't think, will challenge him on the mountains, really. Montiel is in 3rd place. Infantino is got 4th in this competition. Beltran, the erstwhile leader, down to 5th now after his big day out a couple of days ago. Now, where are we? This is Viviani back on stage again now, and it looks as though he's now in the lead in the Smashburger points competition.
Smashburger as well.
So it's being congratulated. So we had to change the leadership here. He's got this jersey off the shoulders of Levi Leipheimer with his consistent sprinting. He'll try to keep that. And there's the Smashburger lineup. Viviani ahead of Leipheimer now by 6 points. Hincapie, he wore it on loan, don't forget, from Leipheimer. He's 3rd. And TJ Van Gordon there in 4th. Let's have a look at the Radio Shack route for tomorrow. Not quite as unchallenging, shall we say, for the mountaineers as it was today. It's quite a difficult route. Tomorrow we go to Breckenridge, one of those famous names in the state of Colorado. Leaving Steamboat tomorrow, we roll out and climb up the Rabbit Ear Pass, 6,781 we start at. Then we go up the Rabbit Ear, 9,500, a long descent down along the valley roads, heading through Kremling as we make our way round the Green Mountain Reservoir. Wonderful names on it, let's face it. This is the west, this is Colorado, through Silverthorne, onto Keystone, Gold Hill, before we get in to Breckenridge. And don't forget, stage 4 Ria today, you can see tonight at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. Tomorrow, our rematch in the Rockies, which is proven to be a hit program, is on at 3:30 p.m. ET, and followed by actual live coverage, Steamboat Springs to Breckenridge at 2 o'clock local time. So enjoy all of that, and don't forget that for a full schedule and daily highlights, log on to NBCSports.com. And for the tour tracker, remember to go to USAProCyclingChallenge.com. As the race goes on, our clothing provided by Pearly Sumi. Congratulations today to the sprinter, Elia Viviani, but Leipheimer stage in yellow. And from all of us at Versus and in here in Steamboat Springs, we will say we'll see you tomorrow when we'll have moved camp to Breckenridge. Till then, goodbye.